Hey YouTube, how's it going? Chaos Emperor Dragons here, bringing you a new deck profile, Generators. Put this together recently. It's quite an interesting deck. It's a very good rogue choice if you don't want to play one of the meta decks. And its main playstyle is basically interacting on your opponent's turn. So it's a lot of fun that way, and obviously disrupting your opponent on their turn obviously causes them problems. And then obviously it's a very controlled type deck, so you're not going to OTK the next turn, you're just going to grind it out and hopefully outgrind your opponent's resources. So let's get into the deck profile. So your main kind of, not necessarily starter, but searcher card is Lopter. So this is the card you would summon off your field spell, which is the Generaider boss stage. And then it can tribute itself or one of the generated tokens because they're fairy monsters. And it can summon a generator from your deck. So very good to do on your opponent's turn. And also on your opponent's turn, it increases the attack of all generated monsters by 1,000. So all your tokens change from like 1,500 to 2,500. So not as simple to like beat over. The next card I've got, which is probably one of your good starter cards, is Condemned Witch. Now this is very good. So when you summon it, you can add a forbidden spell to your hand, or a quick play spell to your hand. So your target will be Forbidden Chalice, which is a quick play spell. So you set it, and then on your opponent's turn, it will negate your opponent's effect. Yes, it increases their attack, but the main thing is you get to negate the effect that they got on. So if they're going for Needle Fiber, you negate the effect, stops the search, or whatever powerhouse card they might bring out. So it's very good. And then on your opponent's turn, it can banish itself to summon another fairy monster. So your target would be the Lopter. So that means on your boss stage, you don't necessarily have to find the Lopter with that. You can bring out, say, Har, then banish this to bring out Lopter, and then that way you can set up quite a strong field, and then use Lopter to bring out a different generator monster. So talking about the generator monsters, got 2 Har. So this is really the boss of the deck. If your opponent adds a card to their hand outside the draw step, this makes them discard a monster from their hand or send a monster from their field to the graveyard. So really powerful effect. And then also it's got an Omni Negate. So you tribute 2 generators or 2 spellcasters on the field, and then it will negate a card or effect and then destroy it as well. So very powerful boss monster. And definitely one of your main targets that you want to bring out. The next one is Nighthog. So this is your solemn judge or solemn warning in kind of a way. So if your opponent attempts to special summon, you can tribute 1 generator and negate the summon, which is quite good. Next one is Utgarda. This one has a quick effect and allows you to banish a card on the field. So if your opponent has like a field spell that that's going to allow them to play, so like for dinos like their Lost World or other decks and their main field spells, you can just banish it straight away. Also monsters, especially if they need it like Link Climb or XE Summon, like if you're playing against dinos and they bring out UTC, you can use this to banish it. So you've got quite multiple plays. It's actually quite good against Eldritch. If they summon out the Eldritch, you can use this to banish it. So then they kind of stop that play, which is quite good. And then we play 2 Hela. So this is your Monster Reborn for generators. So you summon this and you can tribute a token or a generator monster to special summon a generator monster from your graveyard. So most of the time you'd go into Hela after like you got a Har in your graveyard to bring out Har again and then go from there. And then the last one I'll play is Mardell. So this is your searcher. So if you can't, like if you haven't got a boss stage or something, and you got Lopter, that you can go Lopter, use its effect, bring out Mardell, search for boss stage, and then go from there. Like if you really have to and you got no other choice, but just gives you another way to get to your field spell. And then I got 2 Trios Hirachia. I don't know if I said that right, but so this is quite a good one. So it's a common that came out in Eternity Code, and during the main phase, so yours or your opponent's, you can summon this from your hand or graveyard. So you can use it for a discard if you want, and then bring it out in your opponent's turn, which is quite good. So it's got a quick effect. You can trigger up to 3 fairy monsters, and all your generated tokens are fairy monsters, to summon it out. And because it says up to 3 fairy monsters, you get different effects based on the number you tribute. So if you tribute 2, you can destroy 1 card your opponent controls. If you do 3, you can draw 2 cards. So it's a really cool like draw effect, and just another card to bring out in your opponent's turn. And then last of like the kind of big monsters is I played 2 Gizmek Kaku, the Shining Stag. So the reason I play this is, one, it's a level 9, so it just has kind of good flow with the rest of the deck. And also it's a mind control. So if your opponent has a monster in the extra monster zone, you can summon this out for free and then use its effect to try and take control of that monster. Or it puts it in the spell and trap zone first, and then you have to destroy something. But either way, like, it helps remove a monster from your opponent's field. And if they have a negate and they negate it, that's fine, because it hasn't used your normal summon and you've baited out 1 negate that your opponent has. So I find it quite versatile. And if you've got a monstrosity in your hand, you summon this out, use monstrosity, then you can make your own VFD and then go from there. So there's quite a few plays with it. And then last of kind of the monsters is just the Ash Blossom, just the hand trap. Cool. So then moving on to the spells, 1 Terraforming, and then 3 Generator Boss Stage. So this card is crazy. You kind of always want to get to this card in one way or another, and there's a few different ways you can get to it in this deck. So I already said Mardell is one of them. During your opponent's turn, when they draw a card, so literally their draw phase, you can summon out a generator from your deck. And then if you summon a generator on your opponent's turn, you can then summon up to 5 tokens. Most of the time it's going to be 4, but because you'll have 1 generator monster. And they basically level 4 fairy, and they have 1500 attack and defense. And it's just a bit crazy like how this card works. As I said, you can obviously always get your opponent to activate on their turn because they have to draw for their turn, so then it activates. But also you can use boss fight in your opponent's turn to then activate another one, and then if your opponent's got an effect where they're going to add to their hand, it will just boss fight makes them draw, so then it instantly activates it again, and then it summon out another generator and summon out more tokens. So if you've in your turn, let's say you've got Ha, you've already attribute 2 tokens and then you haven't got anything else left, you can activate boss fight, which is the trap. It will activate another boss stage. Your opponent has to draw, which then means you can summon out another generator, and then you'll get the tokens back, and then you have interactions again with your opponent. And most of your time, your opponent doesn't really care about boss fight, especially if you add it to their hand. They're just like, yeah, it's nothing, until they realize like it gives you that many interactions on your opponent's turn. So yeah, it's just really crazy, and there's quite a few ways to resolve it. So for the next spell, I've got 3 World Legacy Monstrosity. Pretty straightforward. If you've got a level 9 in your hand, you've got literally no other players, you can just use this to summon 1 out. Or if you've got a level 9 on the field, use this to summon 2 from your deck. Really great card. So then carry on with the deck, I've got 2 Generator Boss Quest. So this is kind of like your searcher, and it's another way to find your field spell. So if you've got this in your hand, and let's say a Hela, which you don't really want to see, like you don't really want to see the generated boss monsters in your hand, you use this to pitch it back into your deck, and then you can find 2 other generated monsters or cards to add to your hand. So you add your field spell and you can add one of the traps. So it's just really really useful to have. And then moving on, I played 2 Kuchikiri Curse. Send a level 9 from your hand or from your field to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. Just a really good card. You can only activate 1 per turn, so that's why I only played 2. And you wouldn't necessarily always use the effect, but if you've summoned out one of your trios and you've drawn, and they're still there when it comes back to your turn, you can use this to send it off and then draw 2 more cards. And then it allows you to dig more in your deck for the cards you're really looking for. And then kind of for got the 2 Forbidden Chalice, which you would search off your Condemned Witch, and if you don't, it's just good to have in your hand. And then kind of like the more generic is 1 Monster Reborn and 3 Caught by the Grave. Because getting ashed on your boss stage really hurts and just leaves you open. So you just want to build a way to stop that. And then kind of to finish off the deck, so as I was saying before, 2 Boss Fight. As I said, it's a really good trap card, and I know giving your opponent a draw is a bit crap, but the power you get of it, of activating another field spell on your opponent's turn, making them draw to then actually activate the field spell, summon out another generator, replenishing your tokens to give you more interruptions on your opponent's turn, is just so powerful, and it's just something they don't really see coming. And then the last but not least, I play 1 Generator Boss Room. Just a way to protect yourself. You activate this, and basically, so if they activate in response to one of your generator cards, so let's say you have this set and you've got the field spell activates, so they activate Ash, you can then chain with Boss Room, and it will just change the effect that you draw a card instead. So you can discard 1 card and then it changes the Ash effect to drawing a card instead, so that way your field spell goes through. So it's just another way to protect yourself. Not particularly great, but it's just good to play out a one-off. And that is the main deck. So just go through the extra deck really quickly. So you can play the Girsu variant, which has the turn 1 combo to get you a VFD. But so I can make that deck, but the reason I haven't is if Girsu gets like impermed or veilered, and because we're in a very hand trap format, your opponent will just kind of just stop your play there and then, and you won't extend any further if you don't have to field spell or anything. But if I summon Condemn Witch and they waste an Ash so I don't get the Forbidden Chalice, Condemn Witch will still go off on my opponent's turn to get the lock turn, go from there. And I've made my opponent go 1 resource down already. So that's kind of why I prefer that variant. Anyway, so going to the extra. Got 1 Jormungandr. So this is obviously the boss monster for the generators. Your overlay, its attack and defense becomes the number of materials it has. Has a quick effect, detach 1 material. I believe, so if I read it out to you, quick effect, you detach 1 material. From this card, each player draws 1 card, then each player that drew attaches 1 card from their hand or field to this card. So, you detach 1 and it gets an extra 2 materials, 1 from you, 1 from your opponent. So it's quite good in that sense. And obviously, if you have it and it's on your opponent's turn, because it's a quick effect, you can force double draw and then force to summon out other generator monsters and tokens again, which is quite good. Then I played 2 VFDs. Just a broken card, locks out your opponent. They can't really do anything. And I'm playing 1 Phantom Fortress, non-target banishment, just really good. Then I'll play 1 9 Lives Cat. So this is really good. So 2 level 9, summon it in defense position, detach material, and you can either summon a level 9 from your own graveyard or 1 monster from your opponent's graveyard. And that's just so cool. Like if you summon out a key card they need, like the Eldritch or an Emancipated card that they really want, or one of the dinos like Miscellaneousaurus, they're literally like, you just can stop their plays. It's such a good card and just a good way to get back into your strategy and carry on. And it's got this other effect where it is anything that you summon from the graveyard, like it's protected from card effects. So if you do summon something, like it's protected from your opponent's card effects, which is just even good. Now I play 1 Infinite Track Herb Slicer, just spot removal on the field. And then my sort of cheese is Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. So 3 level 9 monsters, detach a material, negates all effects on the field, and your opponent can now activate any card or effects afterwards. Just a bit of cheese, 4500 attack, and just helps you win the game as well. So that's it for the XYZs. And then for Link monsters, I play 1 Bujin, the Link 2. I play this because it allows you to do some spot removal of spells and traps, and it allows you to get out another level 9 from your hand. And then if you have 2 level 9s, you go into this, you summon out 1 from your graveyard, 1 from your hand, and then it allows you to XYZ summon. So you can go into your VFD, destroy 1 spells and traps, and then have the VFD active. So it just allows you to have a little bit more. Play 1 IP, just more interaction on your opponent's turn. And then I've got the Nightmare package, so Phoenix, Cerberus, Unicorn. And then for like other boss monsters, I play 1 BLS, just because you play a lot of level 9, so you always have its protection effect. 1 Unchained Abomination, just good to have, just very good card. And then 1 Boss or Dragon for your OTKs when you can. So that's the extra deck. Because of this variant, I'm not playing the Girsu package, you know, which needs like the Link Cross and the Lib, and then it needs the Trishula of Icy Imprisonment. Like, it gives you a lot more flexibility. So, you know, you don't have to play the Nightmare package, you don't have to play the IP or the Illusion, like, they're your choices. You have to play Jormungandr and the VFDs. And I feel like the Phantom as well, like, and the 9 Lives, like, these cards you have to play. The others are like really up to you. So it gives you a lot more space, and you're not locked into anything as well. So yeah, that's the deck. As there's a lot of good, interesting choices in this deck, and you know, like, this just requires you to think on your opponent's turn. Like, what is your opponent playing? What are they doing? You know, how can you interact? How can you just stop them? And you then have a lot of options for how you go about and do that. So this deck gives you a lot of room, and like, not everyone's always going to play perfectly. So when you play this deck, you know, it helps you capitalize on your opponent's mistakes a bit more as well, which is quite cool. So yeah, hope you like the deck. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me down in the comment section what you think. I'll see you next time.